Welcome to the Positive Pulse Show, where faith meets real talk and right thought. I'm your host, Tasha, and I just want to thank you for joining me for the very first episode of this journey towards purpose, positivity, and powerful growth. This show is for the go getters, the dreamers, the believers, and even those who are just trying to figure it all out. Here, we keep it real while keeping it positive, and we're starting today with a really big question. Okay? What does success look like? That is the big question of the day. What does success look like? So, I want to start with a personal story. When I told a close friend that I was starting a podcast on positivity, and that my very first episode would be about success, they responded with something that stopped me in my tracks. They said, Tasha, how can you talk about how can you talk to people about success if you don't even own a home? Now, that may sound a bit harsh, but the truth is many people think like that. A lot of us have been conditioned to believe that success is tied to visible milestones, a big house, a fancy car, a certain salary, or a picture perfect family. But here's what I've learned and what I want to share with you today. Success is not a one size fits all experience. It looks different for all of us. And if we're ever going to achieve it, we first have to define it for ourselves. Again, if we're ever going to achieve it, we need to first define it for ourselves. So, what happens is that society or people around you, they'll hand you a checklist, mainly society, and they'll say, okay, go to school, get your degree, get the job, get the house, get the spouse, and somewhere along the way, you're supposed to feel successful, right? You're supposed to feel successful. But what happens when you check those boxes and still feel empty? Or when your life doesn't look like that list at all, right? Here's the truth. You cannot measure success using someone else's ruler. Someone may find joy in starting a family. Another may find fulfillment in traveling solo around the world or maybe with their spouse. Someone else may find peace in a quiet life of service. Another, they might love that corporate grind. They might love climbing the corporate ladder. And you know what? All of those reasons are valid because, again, success is not a one size fits all experience. It looks different for all of us. And we have to start by defining that for ourselves. You have to define what success looks like for you, right? So let's go a little deeper here because this is the root of everything. Perspective shapes your reality because success starts with the mindset. I know, right? Success starts with your mindset. It doesn't start with anything tangible. That stuff comes later. But it starts with your mindset, how you feel about you, right? Perspective shape our reality. It shapes your reality. So if you believe success only comes or only lives in someday or in someone else's life, mm-mm, you'll never fully claim your own progress, okay? Success is often an internal shift before it becomes an external reality. Let me say that one more time. Success is often an internal shift before it becomes an external reality. So, a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says, I'm not successful because I don't have what they have, right? A growth mindset says, I'm on my path and success is unfolding every day I stay committed. That's the growth mindset. So this mindset shifts matters because with the fixed mindset, you disqualify yourself before you even try. You already out the game. You done already took yourself out the game. But with the growth mindset, you start to realize you're not stuck. You are becoming. You are becoming, okay? All right, another point I want to make is stop waiting for validation. Success isn't when others clap for you, okay? It's not when others finally get on board and say, "Oh, wow, look what you've done. Look what you've accomplished." And they give you that hand clap. That's not it. Stop waiting for validation. It's when you can look at your reflection and say, "I'm proud of who I'm becoming." It's about how you feel about yourself, what you speak to yourself. So you got to avoid the comparison trap leading it to that point. Avoid the comparison trap. Um, I have this saying I always like to say. I don't know where it came from, but I always like to say those who count the odds never reach their goals. Those who count the odds never reach their goals. When you spend all your time calculating the obstacles, you're just adding the obstacles up. Okay? You're comparing your chapter 2 to someone's chapter 20, right? Here you are on chapter 2, you're looking at someone's chapter 20. You paralyze your progress right there. That's what comparison does. It poisons. I always say that I always get what I want in life because honestly, guys, I always believe I'm going to have what I want to have. And why? Not because I'm the most talented. I may not even be the most smartest, but you better believe I'm going to be the most consistent. I'm going to be faithful, and I have an unwavering belief in myself and my abilities. And if I'm not where I want to be, I'm going to work towards where I want to be, and I'm going to get there. So I never disqualify myself. If there's a job that I want, like I know I had a friend of mine who wanted a position, and they were like, well, ain't no point in applying. There's probably thousands of other people applying for that job. And I said, and what does that have to do with you? Why are you counting someone else? Why are you worrying about what someone else is doing? Focus on you and what you do, right? Why disqualify yourself? I'm not worried about what anyone else does. I'm worried about Tasha. And every time that I fill out an application, I believe I'm going to get that job. I don't think about anyone else. I feel like I'm the most qualified and I'm going to get that job because when you start counting the odds and say, well, what's the likelihood they'll choose me? Or what's the likelihood I ever be a millionaire? Or what's the likelihood I ever meet a good man? What's the likelihood I ever meet a good woman? What's the likelihood I'll get that bank loan to start my own business? When you start doing stuff like that, you start pulling yourself down. You start pulling yourself down. And so then you no longer have a vision for your life. You're snuffing your own vision out. Like you are starting to walk in defeat. That's what you're walking in defeat. Okay? So again, comparison, it poisons potential. All right, think about this. You can't walk your path if you're staring at someone else's lane. Cause try doing it. Next time you out there and say you're exercising and you're on the trail or something, try walking your path while staring at someone else's lane. Okay? All right, you're gonna start veering off of your path. You're gonna start veering off of your path because you so fall. You may even trip and fall. You could get injured. You may even get discouraged because you're so busy looking at what they're doing. Stay on your path. Stay in your lane. Be focused on your goal. Your calling is yours. Your pace is yours. Your purpose is not on a timeline. Every time you compare, you rob yourself of gratitude and clarity. So instead of saying I'm behind, say I'm right on time. All right? So this is how you want to begin to define success for yourself. And let's just make this practical because I want you to take a moment to do this work because it matters. And I know people like, oh, vision boards. Listen, you don't have to do a vision board if you don't want to. I love to write stuff down because I always say if you don't write it down, uh, it's just a wish. So visualize your ideal life. Visualize it. Picture your successful self. Where are you? What are you doing? How do you feel? Don't filter it, just let it flow. This is your vision. Don't even think about it. Just idealize in your mind. Picture your successful self. Again, where are you? When you picture your successful self, where are you in life? What exactly are you doing and how do you feel? Just let it flow. This is your vision. This is your time. And then next, define it in a sentence or two. Write a personal success statement. Something like success to me is living in peace, helping others grow, and doing work that brings me joy. Right? Get specific. The clearer you are, the stronger your direction. Get specific with wherever that may be. Success for you may be climbing the corporate ladder. Success for you may be owning a nonprofit. Success for you may be opening up multiple chains of a restaurant. Whatever that is, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Think about what success looks like to you. All right? Write it down. Write a personal statement. Success to me is this, this, this. Get specific. And revisit it often. As you grow, Your definition of success might evolve, and that's okay. Success is fluid. The point is to own it. You got to own it. You got to own it. So, this is my closing thought. Let go of the odds, grab hold of the vision. Success is not about the house you own or the car you drive. It's about the intention behind your life, the choices you make that align with your values and your purpose. So when someone questions your worth based on what you don't have yet, remember, they don't know the vision God gave you. They don't know what vision you have for your life. You don't need to wait until you hit a milestone to claim success, okay? You are becoming successful every day you show up, that you stay consistent, and that you move with intention. I always say you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. In every area of your life, relationships, business, um, whatever that may be intentional. So this week, I want you to take 10 minutes, just 10 minutes out of your whole 24 hours, okay? Take 10 minutes to write down your definition of success. Not what your parents wanted, not what society pushes, but your definition. And every morning, I want you to read it out loud. Let it remind you of who you are and where you're going. Again, take those 10 minutes out of your day. I promise you this is going to help you. And write your definition of success. Because you got to have a vision. You got to have a vision. Every morning, read this out loud to yourself, okay? Let it remind you of who you are and where you're going, okay? So, listen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of the Positive Pulse Show. If this resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a review, hit that subscribe button, and meet me right back here for episode 2, where we'll talk about the next key principle: discipline and consistency. How showing up daily is what moves the needle. Okay? Until then, stay focused, stay faithful, and keep your pulse positive.